had the opportunity to ask a cherry farmer a very simple question. That question was, if it takes a cherry tree 7 years to grow, why be a cherry farmer? It seems like a waste of time, I know that. But his response to me was, it's about the journey. The destination is just the cherry on top. I love that quote, I really do. And I love that quote for this speech specifically. But when I was writing the speech, I found it so hard to come up with stories from my life that resonated with what the speech said. And that was hard for me because I feel like I live by what the quote says. I feel like I live by the fact that I cherish the journey more than the destination. And really when I was brainstorming, the best I could come up with was the journey I took from Seattle to North Carolina when I first moved here. Now, really the only parts I remember from that trip were the first 2 days I couldn't stop crying because I felt like I was leaving my forever home. So I really thought that was a bad example. So I started to continue to brainstorm and I was trying to come up with things. Could I talk about maybe me working in a restaurant, me moving up, or how my hobbies shaped me over time, or I don't know, my allergies, but they all seemed very simplistic and very surface level and kind of just boring. So what I thought was, let me just tell you who I think I am. Who I think I am is an empathetic person. I pride myself on trying to put myself into others' shoes in stressful situations. I think it's important to know what others are going through, not only just because you haven't gone through it yourself, but to just know where people are coming from the deepest form of emotion. I also believe that I'm the purest form of an optimist. When it comes to a stressful situation, I remind myself that someone's been here before, and really what's the worst that can happen? Now, you might be saying, Gavin, what if no one's literally ever been to that place before, and what if you don't know what's gonna happen? Well, I'll give you an example to think about. Say you're placed in with two doors in front of you, and a woman tells you that behind one door is your greatest desire, and behind the other is your biggest fear. Now, those for me would probably be a room full of spiders and a bag of chocolate toasted donuts, but I'll let you decide which is which. Anyways, if you now picture the setting, now picture me setting a 3-year-old in front of you, and I tell the 3-year-old the same things I just told you. I can guarantee you that 3-year-old not only is gonna pick one of those doors and walk through it with no bother, they're probably not gonna understand anything I just told them. But you have to think, sometimes when you're in stressful situations, think about how a child would perceive that same situation. Would they perceive that situation with that prior judgment and that prior fear? Likely they wouldn't. That is who I am. I also hate hypotheticals, good or bad, because they distract from what's happening right now. Have you ever heard of people speaking things into existence? I think this happens because they're so focused on what could happen, they're distracted from properly abiding or properly preparing for what might happen. So, for example, say you're speaking in terms of, you're going out. Say you're going out drinking. Who knows? Just know beforehand that there is things that happen, things that can happen, but there's steps that you can make right at this second, right here, right now, that can prevent the worst from happening. And sometimes we forget that. Now, that's why when I speak of childlike optimism, I'm not saying you're supposed to neglect the consequences that may happen. I'm just saying that you don't need to say the consequences out loud to know that they're there. Now, and that's who I am. Now, these qualities aren't just personal quirks of mine. They lie back to the overall metaphor of a journey. As I explore new ideas, I realize that I tend to cherish the journey more than the destination, and that the destination is just a stepping stone or a checkpoint in my overall journey. In essence, life is about the journey and the experiences and the lessons along the way. So, as I continue on this journey, I carry with me the optimism of a child and the curiosity of an explorer, with the knowledge that I can use the mistakes made and the experience I go through along the journey to better myself. And before I go, since I work at a sports bar, I'll leave y'all with some bartender wisdom I once heard that kind of goes along with this. Okay. So, you're not where you want to be, but you feel like you should be somewhere else. Well, imagine if I gave you the power to snap your fingers and you'd be wherever you wanted to be. Well, I guarantee you when you snapped your fingers, you'd feel the exact same way you did, that this isn't the right place. The point is, you can't get so hung up on where you would rather be right now, so much so that you forget to make the most of where you are at the moment. Now, my final words would be just, stop worrying about the things you can't control and live a little. Thank you.